It's another great day to be alive. Welcome back to another great day podcast. Hello. I've been watching videos of people do this transition to that Sabrina Carpenter song. I get what I thought of you. And every time I sing that, I'm like, that is a lyric if I've ever heard one. But here we are. It is a Sunday night at the time of me recording this because I keep staying up late and waiting for announcements. Last week, I can't remember what I was waiting for. Maybe I was watching Summer Return Pretty, and then this week, I was waiting for the announcement of the Super Bowl halftime performer before I hopped on with you guys. And I have to say, I'm excited. I'm excited for Bad Bunny. I was getting a little nervous when the rumors were swirling around about Adele because I was like, not totally sure how I feel about that. Love Adele. Think she's fantastic. She's amazing. I live for a British accent. She can sing her heart out, but I was like, I'm just not sure how this is going to hit. So when Bad Bunny was announced, I was like, okay, we're back on track. And I was also rooting for Miley. So I'm happy. I think Bad Bunny's going to be super duper fun. I love anything that's high energy. It's going to get the hips moving, the crowd shimmying, if you will. And by the crowd, I mean whatever guys Matt invites over to watch in our living room. But I'm excited. I'm jazzed. He puts on a great performance, and I can't wait. Seems like people online are super jazzed about it, and I'm like, you know what? Collective joy. That's all I asked for in today's world of doom and gloom. So there's that. But I can't wait to fill you guys in. Oh my gosh. Buckle up if you are a something has changed within me. I feel like I need to just start singing half the podcast because I love singing. Speaking of singing, I'm thinking about signing up for adult musical theater camp. I got an ad for it on my Instagram and I've been thinking about it ever since. So that's possibly happening this November. Stay tuned. But if you are a fan of the musical Wicked and the movie and all that stuff, I had the opportunity to attend the one night special, One Short Day in the Emerald City. But instead of the Emerald City, it was the Dolby Theater. It was a one night special that NBC was taping that is going to come out on NBC and I believe Peacock on November 6th. And when I tell you, this was hands down one of the most magical experiences of my lifetime. I had my mom fly in for it. When I got the email for it a couple weeks ago, I immediately called her. She was supposed to be in New Orleans. I was like, drop everything. Drop everything now. Meet me in Los Angeles. Kiss me on the side. Well, she didn't kiss me. You know what I mean. I told her to drop everything. She canceled her trip to New Orleans with my dad. It was supposed to be this whole work trip, wives situation. And she came here, and we could not for the life of us get them to give us the details on the dress code. I'm just not sure if they were being tight-lipped about it, whatever it was. But my rule when it comes to dress code, I've lived in LA for 10 years now. People show up and show out. That's one thing about Los Angeles. Like, it could be 11 a.m. on a Tuesday and I'm going to an event and people are in full cocktail attire. I don't know what it is. That's just the way people roll here. So I was like, it's wicked. It's crazy. I know with a live taping, there's obviously the opportunity to be on camera. So I wanted to look fabulous, especially because the Dolby Theater is 5 floors. So it's a typical, if you've ever been to like a Broadway show, it's got the ground floor that's closest to the stage, and then there's tiers of levels, and floor 5 is like basically the ceiling. And I knew they were probably most likely only going to be recording people who were on floor 1. Also, obviously, for the sake of my mom and like her not getting a lot of these opportunities, I really wanted to make sure that we had a super probable chance of being on the floor for it. And we did. We got picked. I really think that our outfits were a big part of why we got picked for the floor. But let me backtrack. This was a crazy day. I can't tell you really anything about like the performance and all that jazz, but I could tell you my experience, which was we got there at 2 p.m. We did our wristbands, our check-in, our security, all that jazz. And then we went to this holding room. It was basically like a ballroom. We were in the holding room for probably 3 hours in our huge outfits, which was kind of uncomfortable. Packed like sardines. The more people got there, the more they checked it, people in, all that jazz. We got there early again because we wanted a really good chance at a really good seat. It wasn't guaranteed that there was like any sort of like first come, first serve with seating. But again, I just wanted to be there bright and early. So we get there, we're in the holding room for 3 hours, and then they bring us into like the main part of the theater, which obviously, like I said, there's 5 floors. We skip any sort of like concessions, picture, photo ops, and we're like, let's just get straight down to the theater and figure out where we can get seated, all that jazz. And we ended up getting the most perfect aisle seats. My mom's dress, if you saw it on Instagram, was like this massive pink, fluffy Galinda situation. So we were like, is there any way we could get aisle seats? Because between me and her, we had so much dress, lots of dress happening. And we did. We got to be a part of not only choreography, we were filmed in several different shots. So fingers crossed, when this comes out, we make the final cut because it was so much fun. I literally had a blast. I mean, I think Ariana is absolutely phenomenal, but something about Cynthia Erivo, I have met her before. I got to meet her last September. Actually, this time last year, I got to meet her at an event in New York City, which was absolutely incredible. I got to have a one-on-one conversation with her, and we talked about nails, actually, which was really fun. It was a nail event, so I guess that's very fitting. But she is just salt of the earth, like purest of pure humans. I'm obsessed with the like her aura, her energy, her vibes, everything about this woman. Like I just want to bottle it up and squish her cheeks and carry her around forever. Like I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with her. When she sings, it literally comes from like Mother Earth. There's no other probable explanation for where the vocals are coming from out of this woman other than the ground beneath her, because she is literally the most petite human. Her and Ariana are like the tiniest humans ever. Anyways, the outfits, the production, it was better than any Broadway show I've ever seen. It was obviously a live taping, so if you've never been to a live taping, everything was filmed out of order. Sometimes they had to redo stuff. We got certain songs or certain stage sets twice. We got to see them film like introductions for different things that weren't going to be shown at the theater while we were there. Certain things were filmed beforehand, certain things are going to be filmed afterwards. So it was just the most fun. And also, I love sharing these experiences with my mom. My mom has never really had a career, and I say that in a loving way. Her career was raising us. She dedicated literally her entire life to raising my brother and I. And so it feels really, really fun and awesome to be able to provide experiences like this that my mom has never had because of the hard work that I've put in. And that really is something that like wakes me up every morning and gets me excited. Is I love any opportunity I can to like reward people in my life, or gift opportunities or gift experiences or whatever it might be to people who are in my circle. That really fills up my cup. And I guess that I'm learning something about myself, which is that maybe gift giving is one of my love languages. I also know, this is a side tangent, me and my dad are pretty similar in every single possible way. We're both Gemini. I was actually due on his birthday. I was born 6 days late, so I was born on June 21st. We're both Gemini. I'm a Gemini Cancer cusp, but we're both pretty neurotic in a lot of different ways. One of them being like self-improvement, self-assessment. I'm not sure the particular word I'm looking for, but my dad has this family Excel spreadsheet where he has all of our different strengths. He's had us take all these different little like tests online. I don't know if it's like an aptitude test. I don't know what you would call it. All these little tests online, including like the Strengths Finder test, which some of you guys might be traumatized if your employer has made you take this, or your college or your high school, whatever it is. But where I'm going with this is that one of my top strengths, if you're curious, if you are someone who enjoys this stuff, is positivity, communication, activator, achiever, and then woo. And woo stands for winning others over. And that is where I'm going full circle with this, is that gift giving, I think, is like a way to kind of tie back into my strengths, which is winning others over. Love that for me. Kiss, kiss. Speaking of a fun story, I actually scored a job interview once because someone tried to deny me a job interview because they said I had a typo on my resume when I put woo on there as one of my strengths. And she's like, that's not a real word. And I was like, actually, ma'am, it stands for winning others over. Here's the link, blah, 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 blah. And then she's like, wow, you taught me something new. Actually, I'll give you an interview. So slay. We love that. Now, let's talk about the obvious elephant in the room, which is that it's TS12 release week! Silent screams. I'm so excited. I feel like I've been kind of suppressing my excitement because I was like, I need to conserve. Need to conserve energy. I'm looking at my orange feather boa, which came in the mail, which has really got me in the spirit. I spent quite literally like 8 hours cleaning my house today because I'm like, there's not going to be a speck of dust. There's not going to be one piece of laundry that needs to be folded. My sole focus is going to be preparing for the life of a showgirl, baby. Woo! I wrote down like final predictions. And I don't know, other than the only thing that's really jumping out at me is, I guess, two things. Number one, she's nowhere to be found. I think that this is twofold. Number one, it has to do with safety. We didn't see her at the Chiefs game yesterday. She's really kind of been MIA. I'm like, girly pop, can you give me an Instagram story? I need a proof of life. I need a selfie. I need something. Maybe she'll post about Selena's wedding. We know that just happened. But I feel like she's been a little MIA. And for putting the security thing aside, I do feel like it's because she's about to like pop out of nowhere and be everywhere all at once. Like, I really could see her popping up at a movie theater to surprise fans. We obviously know she's going to be on Jimmy Fallon. I think she's going to be doing the most, or at least I hope. This is what I've convinced myself. Maybe she'll be at the Spotify pop-up in New York City, which, New York girlies, I am incredibly jealous. I would most definitely normally make an excuse to fly out there for this. Well, there's really no excuse. The event is a valid reason to fly out. However, I'm going to be in New York for something else for work, like a couple days after, and it just financially, I think, is a little cuckoo. Unless maybe the universe blesses me with like some crazy big money deal this week, and then I can go. But I'm very jealous of all of you. But all that being said, I do feel like the one thing sticking out in my brain is the fact that she used the words grand finale. Grand finale feels scary in my brain because I'm like, we know it's not the Super Bowl. We're getting the premiere movie theater situation, so I feel like it's unlikely that she would lump like another movie situation, like a documentary, into all of this. So I just can't quite put my finger on what exactly a grand finale would be. So I need you guys to comment and let me know your thoughts. If you're a grand finale believer, an encore believer, is there something more coming? And I'm not saying, I know somebody inevitably will be like, just be grateful, and the crowd was chanting more. Listen, I'm reading what Mother's words were, and it quite literally said grand finale. Another thing I thought was interesting was I saw some video earlier that was basically showing all of the different exit signs that Taylor has been pointing to, and I haven't been digging too deep, honestly, into the Life of a Showgirl Easter eggs. None of them have really been jumping out at me, and I don't love to like make videos about Easter eggs unless I feel very passionately about them. The only thing I did find intriguing was that during the New Heights podcast, she does mention in the moment where she's saying, like, she's talking about Easter eggs and she's saying how they might be upside down, they might be in Braille, they might be above a doorway. The exit sign is above the doorway, obviously. So I'm like, is she pointing us to the exit signs? And if so, what the heck does it mean? And if you're here to jump in the comments and tell me it means that she's exiting the music industry and ending her career, goodbye. That is absolutely not the case. I am 100% a full believer that she is never going to end her career at TS12. This is not the end. I can tell you that much for sure. She might take a little break-a-rooney to go, I don't know, get married, but I can tell you right now, there is no way she would never do a TS13. Be so for real with me. Now, I do have some submissions from you guys that I want to get to. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first one is from Addison, kind of piggybacking off of what we've been yapping about, which is TS12, of course. And Addison says, I have a theory that I Can Do It With a Broken Heart was supposed to be on Life of a Showgirl, but Taylor decided to put it on Torture Poets Department because why not? Looking at I Can Do It With a Broken Heart from an outsider's standpoint, she does say she's a Swiftie, it feels like it has a different vibe from the rest of Torture Poets Department, and I wonder if it was supposed to be on Life of a Showgirl. I also wonder if Life of a Showgirl will be similar to the sound of I Can Do It With a Broken Heart vibe. Yes, okay, so I have wondered this myself. I do feel like Down Bad is another one of those outliers in the 31 songs where I'm like, head scratch, definitely doesn't fit the vibe of the album. Like, how do we have Guilty as Sin, The Prophecy, Manuscript, How Did It End? Honestly, I wouldn't even put Guilty as Sin with all of that. There are so many songs that make sense. So Long London, like the very crying, begging, pleading vibe songs, and then it's like, I'm so depressed, it's my book. Where did that come from? What? Something feels off about the placement of that song in that album, so I wouldn't put it past her if this song was like maybe something she had in her notes app or she was working on, or it was like a concept and then she was like, yeah, screw it, let's put it on the album. I do think it ties in, like, I put this in the category of like Shake It Off, right? Like, I feel like sometimes she has these sort of like throwaway songs, and I say that with full my like love of all loves because I adore, obviously, like some of her throwaway songs. Like, I'm thinking off the top of my head, Welcome to New York. I'm pulling it 1989 up on my phone right now. Welcome to New York is like a throwaway song. Shake It Off is a throwaway song. Delicate, I know a lot of people love that song. What's another? Daylight, to me, it's kind of like, there's songs where there's not a lot of oomph to them, but it's meant to like get you out of your seat, get the booty shaken, if you know what I mean. I kind of feel like she threw that one into the album because it needed a little bit of a zest or a little dance break. I would argue, down bad, I shake my booty to that. So I don't know. I do think, and I'm sure a lot of you guys agree, I was going to say Torture Postpartment could be 2 albums. It technically is. It could be like 3 different albums if you were to categorize songs based on vibe, but that's a conversation for another day. Okay, one more. This is from Anonymous. She says, hi, girly. I have a few things to yap about. We love to hear it. First thing, we haven't heard much about your fertility journey lately. I understand that this is deeply personal. You might not want to talk about it online. Genuinely find you and your story inspiring, and if you feel comfortable sharing, would love to hear an update. Ooh, okay. Second, for Taylor's merch for Life of a Showgirl, I would love some Taylor Swift makeup. And what screams showgirl more than some cute vintage makeup, especially red lipstick? Honestly, agreed. She said, I've waited so long for some Taylor Swift makeup. I love you and the podcast so much. The fact that the podcast is back is the most fun and exciting influencer announcement I've heard in a long time. Oh my goodness. Thank you. I am so grateful that you're here. I'm going to talk about the makeup first since that's top of mind. I think that Taylor would never want to do makeup solely to compete with Selena. However, I do think a collaboration would be absolutely genius. It would just be up to Selena whether or not she wants to deal with like the site crashing, people going crazy. If she never restocks it, that's all people will talk about forever, and her whole comment section will forever be like, when is the Taylor lipstick coming back? You know what I mean? However, I do feel like Taylor sort of has loyalty with some other brands like Pat McGrath, because she's worked with Pat McGrath so many times, and we know Pat McGrath obviously has a lipstick brand. Taylor wears the Elson 4 shade. So I don't know. I struggle with this because I agree with you. Like, it just makes sense for this era to like give us some little like rhinestones for the eyes. Give us a Phase It glitter freckle collaboration. Give us glitter body spray. Like, I will literally buy anything. I don't care. Press on nails. Like, please, that would be a dream come true. But I agree with you. If anything were to be the moment, it would be the red lipstick. And this era seems to fit really well with that, besides the red era, but that was forever ago. I think the only thing that I can wrap my head around Taylor Swift makeup wise is a Rare Beauty collaboration. Now, complete pivot here, going back to your original question about fertility. So I have some YouTube videos about this if anybody's like, whoa, what are we talking about? I'm 29 years old, and honestly, I was just kind of curious about what, I feel like there's this weird unspoken thing when it comes to women, and it's like people who are older than like your 20s or 30s love to like scare you by saying like, whoa, your clock is ticking. And then us as women, like, I feel like way more than men have this sort of like fake timeline of life that we sort of follow. And there is some legitimacy to that because obviously we have our cycle and, depending on what age you get your period and all that jazz. So all that to say, I was sort of just curious about this, and it came up at a random doctor's appointment. It must have been last fall, where the doctor was like, hey, do you want me to test for blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. And then she had come back and basically said that I had low AMH levels, like incredibly low. We're talking like lower than a 50-year-old woman AMH levels, which totally sent me into a tailspin. And from there, I did a bunch of other testing, had an ultrasound done of my ovaries, and just wanted to get like a better sense of what the heck was going on. Ultimately, it seems like they told me I'll be able to conceive, like it may just be a little more difficult. And I kind of left it at that. I didn't want to obsess over it. I'm not actively trying to conceive or anything. But I'm glad that I now have the knowledge of kind of the fact that, like, okay, it may be more difficult for me, and I'm at peace with that. I think for a minute I was like, do I need to like start trying now and reroute my whole life and figure things out? And I sort of tend to be very, how do I say it, like plan. I like to have a plan, and I like to have steps, and I like to know, like, okay, 1 year from now, this is where I want to be, 5 years from now. But the reality is, like, if I'm being so, this is kind of embarrassing. Someone will probably judge me for this. Like, something that brings me a lot of peace is I'm like, you know what? Taylor Swift's 34 years old and just got engaged. Is she 34 or 35? You guys always roast me. I never know her age. She's mid-30s and she just got engaged. And I'm like, you know what? Timeline is so subjective. I am really, 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 really happy with where I'm at, like, confidence wise. I feel like I'm growing so much as a human. I'm in such a groove with my career, and I'm, obviously in a relationship, but I would love to get engaged. There's so many things that I want to do and accomplish before children, if that's something that I decide to move forward with. But I think now I feel more equipped knowing what I know now. I also just learned a lot of things that I didn't really have any clue about. Like, I didn't even know what AMH was. I didn't even know what any of that is. I think, especially if you're a younger listener, like, doing as much research as you can when it comes to women's health is so important. And I'm such an advocate for this because my first job in the workforce, if you will, as an adult was medical sales, where I learned so much, ironically, about women's health because I was so incredibly frustrated by the experiences I was having with doctors, and I felt like I needed to become my own best advocate when it came to, like, going to the OBGYN, learning about anything related to hormones and all that jazz. So all that to say, hope that answers your question. I'm so glad you asked. Thank you so much for caring. That's so very nice. We have time for one more question. I'm going to keep this one anonymous just in case. So it says, okay, so I have a friend who last year I had a lot of drama with, constantly lying and telling me that she was sorry and just doing it again. So I set boundaries for myself, Sly, because I was getting hurt trying to fix her problems. And then in parentheses she said, or he, like it was an expectation to try and not help. It's amazing parts about her. I know that I also need to make sure I'm looking out for me. So fast forward, I am now a senior and just need some advice on how to keep the balance of being nice but also making sure I put myself first, if that makes sense. I just need some big sister advice. Anyways, love you so much and have been loving the podcast. Thank you. Okay, I think this is important, and I feel like I say this every time someone asks for advice. I like this question because, and then I will give you my advice, I think that there is a misconception that when you don't jive with somebody, it automatically means you have to hate them or you have to be mean to them. And I hate this idea because, and I catch myself, honestly, because there are plenty of people. I can think of, like, someone right now that comes to mind where I had met them here in Los Angeles, hung out a few times. I genuinely thought we were going to be really good friends because I was like, wow, like, this is a really good friendship. And then the more I kind of was around this person or ran into them at events and all that jazz, I was like, you know what? I just don't jive with them. And there was no need for me to, like, make some announcement to them or, exile them as a friend. Exile them as a friend. I just kind of drifted, and it wasn't like I ghosted them or anything. It just kind of naturally happened. But my instinct, and I don't know why this is like, oh, I need to unfollow them, and I'm gonna, try to avoid them because I don't like them. And I'm not proud of that, but that's where my mind automatically goes. And then I'm like, you know what? I can still be happy for this person. They're accomplishing great things, like good things are happening in their life. I mute people whenever I feel like it's like, I don't want to say unhealthy, but if I just don't necessarily want to be inundated with updates on their life, I want to control. Like, if I want to see something about their life, for example, on social media, I like muting people for that reason. But there's no need to block. There's no need to unfollow. There's no need to be rude. Nothing happened, right? Like, the same way you said your friend, admitted that they had been lying to you, they apologized for it. Okay, then take that at face value. My mom has always taught me, like, when people show you who they are, believe them. And also, I'm a big believer in forgiveness. Doesn't necessarily mean that, sorry, I can't say the word forgiveness without, you forget, but you never let it go. In the wise words of Taylor Swift. I think there's a little bit of truth to that, right? I think it's totally okay to forgive them, to allow space and be cordial and be kind, but recognize that you don't have to be best friends. Does that make sense? Hopefully that's helpful. You guys, I cannot express, I say this every week, I just feel like there's so much to be excited about. I know that everyone loves, and allow me to get on my soapbox for a minute, like, people love to constantly find things to be angry about, things to be negative about, things that are bad in the world. And newsflash, there's going to be bad stuff going on in the world for the rest of our life. And that's just me being real with you. You can choose to focus on the negative. You can be informed, you can be educated, you can be passionate, you can be involved, but you can also choose to wake up every day and realize that it is quite literally another great day to be alive. Sounds cliche, sounds ridiculous, but it is. There is someone out there that is on their deathbed right now. There's someone in a hospital. There's someone chronically ill. There's someone who just lost a baby. There's someone who, all sorts of things, just got diagnosed with cancer. They would love to have a great day. And you have the opportunity to wake up today or tomorrow or on your drive to work today, on your drive home from school, whatever it might be, to choose how you want the rest of your day to go. And I hope that by listening to this podcast, you walk away and remember that you quite literally have control of your life. And I think that's really magical, powerful, and amazing thing. And I'm so, so grateful that you choose to spend time with me here. Whether this is your first time, second time, third time, or 100th time tuning in, I'm so grateful. And I literally cannot wait for next week. Or it's actually this week. Oh my God. It's this week. I can't wait. Obviously, next week we'll be fully debriefing all of the Swiftivities. So look out for it or skip it if that's not your thing. But something tells me it is. My name's Reagan. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to follow along, subscribe, rate, or review, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.